perhaps one of the core tenets that I kind of picked up from this throughout this lecture series is they seem to talk about creating startup as two different I would almost break them down into two distinct phases. I'm not sure whether they say this, but that you've got this first phase where you're doing things that are actually kind of counterintuitive, that it's like you do things that, what they say, do things that don't scale. So I had a kind of
so
a
what does that mean?
misconception. Yeah, so I had a misconception that at the start of a startup, everything's just about building out your technology so that it gets ready to take off like that one of Musk's sweet rockets. But actually, the start is about intense iteration and doing things, as they say, doing things that don't scale. So doing almost the opposite. So maybe if we take Airbnb for an example, if you take that on the face of it, that's a hard idea to make work. It's essentially
then. It sounds like a really like people frame this up as it because there were some of the investors back then. They said it was a shit idea, or it seemed like a really shit idea because now it just seems like every other thing, and that shows you just how much they've changed culture and changed the perception of things. But to just have a random come to your house and sleep in your house was a pretty niche idea. Back when Airbnb was kicking off.
Yeah, you used to hear about couch surfing and stuff. It's like mainstreaming couch surfing. It's weird. Let alone the logistical issues involved are huge. And so what they did at the start was they kind of did, and their very few customers they actually had, they would go around and do all the photography for the apartment so they could talk to everyone. They would be going out and seeing customers constantly. I think they moved to New York to be as close as possible to the people that were actually using it. And they didn't really think too much about how they were going to build it out from there. They just knew that it was going to be on the internet. It's an internet platform. And then they just went and spent as much time close to the product as possible and doing things and not thinking about the 5-year plan, but just thinking about how can I get this so good that people just can't help but spread the idea, because it doesn't matter how much leverage you've got if no one actually likes it. And if you're forcing people to use it, or when they use it once, they stop using it, then you're dead in the water. Doesn't matter how much of this technological leverage you have.